So how did I cut my screen time from 5 to 6 hours a day to 30 minutes per day? Here are my 5 top ways to cut down your screen time from 5 to 6 hours a day to 30 minutes a day, or lower or a bit more, depending on what kind of day you have. So I'll give you some easy ones to begin with, and then we'll slowly move into the more radical approaches. So tip number 1 is organize your digital space so that you're not encouraged to access social media. So for example, as soon as you unlock your phone, you might have Instagram, TikTok or YouTube on your screen shouting at you to click on it, and you will click on it. But if you organize it so that it becomes harder for you to see your social media apps, it might help you not access it so instantly. So for example, I have organized mine so that on the first screen you'll see some banking apps and some other boring apps that I don't tend to want to access to pass time. And then on the second screen there's my photo apps and some photo editing apps and so on. And then on the last page, on the third page, that's where my social media apps are. So, and I've boxed them all into one so that I have to click twice before I can access social media apps. Also, I've deleted every other entertainment apps, like games for example. I used to spend a lot of time on gaming apps as well, but I've completely got rid of them except one, which is quite a boring game, I guess. I'm not too sure what it's called, but you essentially guess which country belongs to what map. So by having my social media apps on the last page, what it does is it helps me be more mindful about it. So if I want to have a look at my social media apps, I will have to scroll down all the way to the last page, and then I will have to click on the box itself and then enter the social media app. So it's not me just without thinking accessing the app. Instead, I actually have to think about, okay, actually I do want to access this social media app. So I then have to sort of go into it mindfully and say to myself, this is actually what I want to do, as opposed to just mindlessly clicking on it without you even noticing it. And the next thing you know is 2 hours, 3 hours have passed. The other thing is I disabled notifications on some of the apps like TikTok, because I used to spend 4 or 5 hours a day on TikTok and that was insane. So I've completely removed the notifications on that. I at some point have deleted it as well, just to get my life together essentially. So once I organized my digital space, if the phone was still next to me, facing up and looking at me, shouting at me to pick it up, I would still pick it up and I would still go on these social media apps. This won't be that effective, which brings me to tip number 2. Set your phone on Do Not Disturb. This has literally changed my life, not kidding. I went from anxiously checking my phone every time it buzzed and constantly trying to keep up with my notifications, trying to get rid of the notifications so that my phone was spotlessly without any notification. It did not help. I would spend more time on my phone, and this was so tiring and overwhelming. So I just decided to put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and oh my god, I felt like I could breathe again. Some of you might think that I'm exaggerating, but in all honesty, I felt like I could hear my thoughts clearly. And if you've never tried this before, I highly recommend you to do this at least for a few minutes or an hour so that you can see the benefits yourself. So you can start off with putting it on Do Not Disturb for an hour or so and then see where it goes. You can even put it on for the whole day, you know, if you decide that you need a digital detox for the entire day. And let me know down below if you felt the sense of relief that I felt when I first started doing this. This was like a game changer for me. I noticed that if I could still see my phone next to me, facing screen up, I would still pick it up and I would still go scroll here and there for no reason, even if I didn't have any notifications. This brings me to tip number 3. Put your phone in another room. This really helped me because now I could no longer hear it buzzing if I didn't have it on Do Not Disturb, and I couldn't see it any longer either. So I increased the friction from organizing my digital space to making it harder for me to hear the buzzing, so I wouldn't really think of it again, and now to completely leaving it in another room and not seeing it either. What this means is that your phone no longer dictates when you need to look at it. You can dictate when you're going to look at your phone and check it. This gives you a sense of power and agency, I suppose, in some ways, because, you know, if you decide that you've done enough work and you've got the things done that you needed, then you can switch to your phone and do whatever you want to do on your phone. But if it's the other way around, it can not only become frustrating because you've now spent 2-3 hours on your phone, but you've also not managed to finish what you're supposed to finish or the work that you're supposed to get done. So it becomes this vicious cycle, the constant cycle where you kind of feel down with yourself, and then you spend even more time on your phone trying to get that dopamine hit. My tip number 4 is getting apps that will literally stop you or make you think before you access the social media apps. So for me, clicking on social media apps became a reflex. It was so natural to me that I didn't even notice I was clicking on those and accessing these social media apps. So what I did was I got an app that would bring up a blank screen saying, "Are you sure you want to access this app?" And I would have to say yes or no. This 1 second or 2 seconds made me think, I actually don't need to access it, so I would leave it. So these apps kind of makes you think before you access them almost. It kind of disrupts that instant access to your social media apps, and hopefully with that you become more aware and more mindful about how many times you keep on trying to access these social media apps. Because with this specific app, it would tell me how many times per day I tried accessing these apps as well. If you're just getting started as well, it's worth getting this app. I'll leave a link below. I can't remember the specific name at the moment because it was a year ago that I tried it. ClearSpace is also one of the apps that you can try, which does the same thing essentially. It works out the same way. So you can try that. I'll again leave a link down below for you to access. And tip number 5, the most radical one, I think for me anyway, was deleting the apps completely from my phone. This does not mean that you have to delete your account, you just delete the app and, I don't know, challenge yourself to go without it for a period of time. For me it was 30 days for some of the apps and a few months for TikTok, as TikTok was the worst one for me anyway. And this took me a while to actually do it, to actually delete those apps, because I just was like, what am I supposed to do with my free time, you know? How am I supposed to keep up with my friends and the memes and everything like that? What are my friends gonna think? Are they gonna ask where I am? I just thought of any excuse for me not to do it. But eventually it came to a point where I was exhausted of trying to keep up with everything. And so I decided, okay, you know what? I'll just give it a few days and then let's see how it goes. From a few days it went to a week to 2, 3, 4, and so forth. So this really helped me notice where my time was going. When I no longer had the apps, I started trying different things, doing other things that gave me joy, and so that really helped put things into perspective, I suppose. And when I did reinstall the apps, I was a lot more mindful about how long I wanted to spend on it, and I then also set a social media limit on my phone so that after a period of time it would tell me you've reached your limit for the day, and it would completely switch my social media apps off in a way so that I wouldn't receive any notifications anymore from those apps for the day. So just to wrap up everything all together now, you can organize your digital space so that you add friction to accessing your social media apps. For me, it was putting it on the last page. For you, it might be a different way, but there's certainly different ways for you to do that. You can also put your phone on Do Not Disturb to get deep work done. And tip number 3 was putting your phone away completely, so in another room, so that it's invisible for you to see. And tip number 4 was downloading apps that will literally stop you from getting on social media apps. And lastly, deleting your social media apps completely from your phone and see how you get on. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you have, please give it a like. If you have any questions, or if you do try any of these tips, let me know. If you've tried them before as well, let me know how it went for you. And I'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, then hit the subscribe button. You might like this video here. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.